Cemetery Women's Memorial. It's dedicated in 1997 by Brigadier General Wilbur L. Watt. This is the only memorial dedicated to servicewomen of past, present, and future. They're actively taking in servicewomen's information. If you are a servicewoman, firstly, thank you for your service, and secondly, please consider registering now. Your story can be honored and cherished for all time. The entrance is on the left-hand side of the driver's side.
Service Women's Memorial.
You can also see across the bridge on the passenger side.
Lincoln Memorial in the distance.
Connected by the Memorial Bridge. Shows the reunification of North and South. On either driver or passenger side will find the 1932 Memorial Gates. See the gold insignias, four branches of the military at the time. Until 1927. Space Force, of course, being created only recently. Passenger side as well, we can see the final resting place for Benjamin Everett. He's a staff sergeant and technician with the U.S. Army. He would become the first field secretary of the organization, the NAACP, in his home state of Mississippi. Civil rights activist and leader shortly after Brown versus the war. Education. He would go on to investigate hate crimes, such as the lynching of one former hero and Till. I believe it was because of these investigations that he was targeted by various hate groups. He was assassinated in his own driveway after his wife was shot at home. Passenger side here as well, we can see what Arlington is best known for. Row on row, column on column, like service members standing at attention. Standard issue grave markers. They're issued free of charge by the Department of Veterans Affairs. They sit 28 inches above the ground, 20 inches below, 14 inches to cross. On the front side of the grave marker, you may see the name of the rank of service member. This time you can see up to 3 names for their next of kin, such as the child of the age 18, or spouse, or eligible. 3 questions about eligibility for either service members or for next of kin. You can see the administrators in the administration building, the black and white building behind the visitor center, or go to our website, arlington.mil, for more information. You may have noticed that some of the grave markers on the driver's side, they look a little different. Different shapes, different colors, different sizes. These are private issue grave markers. Private issue grave markers are bought and paid for by either the friends and family of a service member or by a private fund. Need the volume turned up, sir? You turned up a little bit, so? Alright, folks, can you hear me a little bit better in the back now? Alright, perfect. So I was saying the private issue grave markers were bought and paid for by either a friend and family of a service member or by a private fund or donation. As of December 2017, we no longer allow them here at Arlington, mostly due to size and maintenance concerns, as historically maintenance had been left up to the families. As we approach our first stop, the Kennedy family gravesite, I want to take you back in time to 1963. In March of that year, President Kennedy made an unannounced visit here at Arlington. As he stood on the porch, overlooked that magnificent view we have of the nation's capital, and said he remarked to a park ranger, "It's so beautiful here, I could stay here forever." Fortunately, forever would come far too soon, as nearly 8 months later to the day, he would be assassinated in Dallas, Texas. His widow, Jacqueline, after discussing the matter, his parents would ultimately decide not to bury him in Brookline, Massachusetts, and the family plot to instead have a stake placed in the ground here, in front of the house, a view that he loved so much. Remember, commemorate the spot here with us in the nation's most hallowed grounds. Alongside the president, we can find members of the first family, his 2 infant children, as well as his widow Jacqueline, underneath the eternal flame. To the left of the eternal flame, you're going to see 2 white crosses for Senator and Attorney General Edward Ted Kennedy and Robert Bobby Kennedy, as well as a memorial marker, an empty grave marker for eldest brother Joseph Jr., who died while on a secret mission for the British, carrying munitions over the English Channel. His body could not be recovered. We have a memorial marker here in his honor. Before we get to the Kennedy family grave sites, soon coming up on the passenger side here, this is the Supreme Court Hill, so named after many justices that are laid to rest here, such as Thurgood Marshall and Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We're going to see her grave marker
John
He's
Dill
one of over
statue.
74 nationals laid to rest here. Over 40
British national laid to rest here.
active duty service. He's joined by one other Nobel laureate here in Arlington, the Secretary of State, Henry Kissinger, located in Section 21, often referred to as our nurses section, for many nurses and medical practitioners laid to rest there. As we climb this hill, I want to direct your attention to the passenger side. You can see some benches in a circular formation on a brick pathway. When you do, I want you to look to the left of those benches. You can see a large brown tree. To the left of that large brown tree, you're going to see a large brown grave marker for the Brown bomber himself, Joe Louis, who fought in 96 exhibition matches, was the heavyweight champion of the world in the 1930s and 40s. Next to him is a standard issue grave marker for actor Lee Marvin, who starred in such films as The Dirty Dozen, right where these people are standing, as well as earned a Purple Heart for his actions in Sun Can. As we go in front of the memorial amphitheater to the Tomb of the Unknown, I'm going to go silent and remove my hat. I ask you to join me and do the same. Thank you for joining me in that moment of silence. 3, I repeat, 3 German Nazi fighters in under 10 minutes in a single aerial engagement. Driver's side for Lee Archer. Now, in just a moment, we're going to come to a stop, and when we do, I want to direct your attention to the top of the hill on the passenger side, soon to become the driver's side. I want you to look for a large white mausoleum. It's one of only 2 mausoleums on the entire property. That large white mausoleum is for General Nelson Miles. Nelson Miles was tasked with and successfully captured Confederate President Jefferson Davis, holding him captive in Fort Monroe to await his trial and sentencing. Also on the driver's side, you may notice that some of the grave markers are a little closer together. They'll higher on a hill than normal. They say in memory of. These are cenotaphs, empty grave markers for those who had the right or privilege to be buried here. For one reason or another, they could not be. Such reasons might include they were buried at sea, their remains were lost in combat, and they may have been taken one for those decorated service members of U.S. history. Memorial markers for the space shuttles Columbia and Challenger, the rear mast of the USS Maine. Please remain seated until the vehicles come to a complete stop and allow me to disembark first. Importantly, this is where we drop you off. This is not where we pick you up. We pick you up about 50 feet ahead where the blue sign is. To get to the Tomb of the Unknown, you're moving about 25 to 20 minutes. Watch your step, please. Washington Parke Custis was the grandson of Martha Washington and her first husband. He's therefore the step-grandson to America's first president, George Washington. George Washington Parke Custis would have a daughter, Marianna Randolph Custis, would marry an up-and-coming officer from West Point, a man by the name of Robert Lee. Now, the Lees would live on this plantation for about 30 or so years before, in 1861, President Abraham Lincoln would ask Robert E. Lee to take command of the Army of the Potomac. Lee refused and headed south to Richmond to instead take command of Virginian and later Confederate forces. Soon thereafter, Arlington would be seized by the Union Army due to the strategic location it had overlooking our nation's capital. We'll see in just a moment coming up on the driver's side Timothy Maude, the highest ranked service member killed during the 9/11 attacks on the Pentagon. Final time as well, coming up on the passenger side, we can find the Military Women's Memorial. Dedicated in 1997 by Brigadier General Wilma L. Vaught. It's the only memorial dedicated to servicewomen of past, present, and future. They're actively accepting women's registration. If you are a servicewoman, firstly, thank you for your service. And secondly, please consider registering now so your story can be honored and cherished for all time. My name is Adam, an amazing driver here at the Solon. And on behalf of all of us here at Arlington National Cemetery, you have served, you are serving, or if you're here on behalf of someone who has served, we want to thank you for your sacrifice, for your dedication, as without it, we simply wouldn't have some of the rights and the liberties we enjoy here in the United States today. Offer free gravesite shuttle service. If you know a friend or a family member laid to rest here on the property.